So the Don is back at it again. Once again, President Donald Trump is threatening Democratic cities. This time he's threatening to take away their funding during a pandemic from Democratic-led cities over civil unrest and social unrest. This is unbelievable. So according to CNN, President Donald Trump on Wednesday threatened to cut federal funding to several major U.S. cities, all run by Democrats and located in blue states, on the grounds that their leaders are, quote, allowing anarchy, violence, and destruction. The White House announced that it had instructed federal agencies to prepare reports for the White House Office of Management and Budget, setting a timeline for the agency to restrict federal grants going to, quote, anarchist jurisdictions. Oh my gosh, there's a lot to unpack here. And some of the cities he mentioned in the memo were New York City, Portland, Oregon, and Seattle, and of course, Washington, D.C., right? Now, there's a lot to unpack here. Donald Trump, a lot of the things he says, historically have been all bark and no bite, right? Like, I'm going to build a wall and I'm going to do this. And a lot of people are like, he just makes outrageous claims to get votes, to get campaign, right? And to, help his campaign. I'm sorry to say this, man. I'm not trying to be fear mandering. Is that a word? Fear mandering. I'm not trying to pander to you like the media does or try to cause fear and Trump. This guy, you're talking about the guy who sent federal agents to cities and arrested peaceful protesters and unmarked vans. Right? So we need to start taking the things that he says very, very seriously. I know people think Trump is funny because he's always like, oh, it's very, very perfect. Everything's so great. It's amazing. And we're doing just great. Or terrible, terrible Democrats, and Pelosi, terrible. And, it's like, haha, whatever, this guy. We need to start taking what this guy says seriously because he's acting upon it, and he's out of control. His executive orders have been out of control. He has way too much power. This has just got to stop. Now, let's talk about him specifically threatening major U.S. cities ran by Democrats. Trump has had this thing where he says, cities ran by Democrats are so terrible, and there's a lot of poverty and crime. I'm just like, where are the Republican-led cities? Aren't all cities ran by Democrats? And correct me if I'm wrong, but don't you usually have more poverty and crime when you have a larger population? Of course, yes, some of that could be due to the structure of the cities themselves. I'm not going to act like all Democratic cities are perfect and everything's great, but when you have more people, you tend to have more crime, okay? There's going to be a lot less crime in a city let's say Knoxville, Tennessee, which is a Republican city. By the way, there are a few Republican cities, not many, but there are a couple. There's going to be a lot less crime in a city like Knoxville, Tennessee than in a place like New York City just because of sheer population size, okay? That's number one. So Democratic cities tend to be bigger, but more than that, bro, this guy's threatening to take away funding from cities in states that are about to go bankrupt, pretty much, that Mitch McConnell suggested should go bankrupt in the middle of a pandemic. So rather than trying to cause peace and calm, this guy's up here saying, we need to take away the funding. Why? So more people can be poor, so cities can't fund their public workers, so more people can lose money, so more people can riot. And that's what this is really about. James Blake, George Floyd, yes, they were the catalyst for these riots. But there's also the fact that people, they can't pay their medical bills. There's a pandemic. They can't go out like they used to. A lot of people are out of work. People are losing their homes. And people are angry. People are looking at this system and realizing that America is a failed state. And this state has failed on President Donald Trump's watch. And his response, let's take away some funding. Take away funding. Yes, Democratic funding. Terrible Democrats take funding. You got to be fucking kidding me. This is what you want to do? You want to take away the funding from major U.S. cities because people are rioting and looting? And you know what? I just don't understand. I don't understand. Like, don't get me wrong. I do think that when situations like this happen, democratic cities, right? Or just cities, period. I hate saying democratic cities. Most cities are democratic. Cities are more likely to experience violence because, yeah, there's more people there. You know, protests usually happen in cities. They happen in areas where there's large people. There aren't usually protests in small areas, right? And also rioting and looting often happens when there's more people, you know, because these type of things happen because of mob mentality, yes. But it's like we're in the middle of a pandemic. You should be trying to calm things down. You should be trying to usher in, like, help the states, you know, or like, how can I assist you, mayors? How can I assist you, governors? You should not be threatening to take away funding from people who need money, because that's going to hurt the average American. That blue-collar worker that the Republican Party claims to represent and reach out to, they're going to be hurt by this, okay? Now, I'm not saying that Trump will be permitted to do it, because the Supreme Court obviously would have to, would probably have to say about it, you know, as well as some local courts. But, guys, this guy's got to go. And you know what? I'll be the first to say it. I'm not a Joe Biden fan. I've said the entire election cycle, I'm voting Howie Hawkins, Green Party, Green Party, Green Party. Donald Trump is so destructive that I'm considering voting for Joe Biden. And people who know me personally know I'm no Joe fan, okay? I am no fan of whatever you want to call him. Sleepy Joe, Average Joe, Status Quo Joe, whatever name they're throwing around nowadays on social media, on Twitter and Instagram. Look, I'm not a fan of the guy, but Donald Trump is so destructive. Like, people always say, oh, the fabric of our nation is ripping at the seams. The fabric of our nation is literally ripping at the seams. And this guy just adds fuel to the fire. So, everybody, listen, I understand. Look, I'm one of those guys. I support Medicare for all. I voted for Bernie Sanders. I do not like Biden. I do not support Biden. His record in Congress is abysmal. You know, voted for the crime bill and stuff. He won't legalize marijuana. Look, I get all that. Those things make my blood boil. But you have to ask yourself. I heard the Rational National say this. Which one do you want to fight more? Do you want to fight Average Joe, who's just going to preserve the status quo and nothing's going to happen and is a little bit easier to manipulate? Or do you want to fight Donald Trump, who just doesn't give a fuck about the legality of anything? This guy's a criminal. He's out for himself. He is totally self-centered. He's narcissistic. And if we let him, he will destroy America as we know it. And I'm not going to lie, man. If Donald Trump wins this election, there may be no coming back from this, man. Like, quite frankly, there may be no coming back. So, my previous position was, nope, I'm not voting for Joe because I'm not voting in a candidate I don't believe in. But Donald Trump is so bad, I've been considering voting for Joe Biden for presidency. This is so frustrating. When you look at Trump threatening to cut federal funding from major U.S. Democratic, quote-unquote, cities because there's rioting and looting during a pandemic, this is disgusting. Anarchical jurisdictions. Don, I got news for you, buddy. These are your jurisdictions. Because this is your fucking America.